All right, let's make a keychain, or at least something resembling that. So let me hop over to the assignment. So your project for the first assignment is you're going to be asked to make some sort of a keychain. Now the idea being that this is going to be basically a flat thing that we're going to make not flat and three-dimensional. That's basically the rundown. So you're welcome to make your own design. You're welcome to copy a design you've seen. I'm going to show you how to bring an image into Fusion and copy it that way. So it doesn't have to be original design. More power to you if you want it to be. We'll do the initial modeling tonight. We'll discuss here and troubleshoot next class and be due later. So main things focusing on saving a file, and again, obviously just navigating the interface, importing an image, sketching, so sketching on top of that, different element types, that sort of thing, and the final thing would be extruding, which is the tool to take that two-dimensional sketch, make it three-dimensional. Now the requirements for this assignment: it's got to be based off of sketches and lines, that sort. The bringing in an image, a reference image, that's completely optional. That's up to you. If you want to do that, great. If not, doesn't matter. You're using Extrude to create the components of the body, or sorry, the elements of the body. It will be combined into one single body. I'll show you how to do that. Also, it needs to have some sort of like a ring or a hole feature, something like that you would ideally put like a chain or string or whatever have you through. Design, like I said, design can be your own, or it can be modeled from a found design, something to that effect. Size, let's say a max of 80 millimeters, which, oh, dang, I thought I had my ruler right here. Like it says, about 3.5 inch square. Does not have to be square. It could be round. It could be amorphous blob. Doesn't matter. And thickness, when we model these, because we're going to print these, yeah, max of like 5 millimeters thick. You can go a little bit more, something like that. That's about a 1/4 inch thick. Bigger than that, it's just it's just unnecessarily large, or really too much bigger than that, and you're making a coaster, not a keychain. Like I said, we're going to start tonight, do some troubleshooting next class, and be due later. All right, so let's go through what we're actually going to be working with. Hopping into Fusion, but first things first, save. Save your project. Save. All right, so example, I'm going to keep using example, but since we are using the appropriate format, so that would be Collins.keychain. So you do you. All right, so if you are just sketching, go for it. But if you want to work from an image, show you how to import something. So the default tools, it's actually right above insert. It's the little thing that says canvas, looks like a picture, shows you, brings in a picture. Or the drop down, first thing, it's canvas. It's not picture, it's image, it's called canvas. Click that. You're going to, if you have it on a different project, you can pull it from there, but insert from computer, and then that's just looking around through stuff. So, because why not be extra Star Wars nerdy? Let's bring in any Star Wars stuff again. You're going to select the plane, start from there. You can move it around. This is based around a circle, so I'm going to leave it smack in the middle. If you need to move it around, you can do so. If you need to swap it and you wanted to turn this into like a stamp or something, you can use these little hourglass keys, or on the pop-up window, you have these to flip it horizontally or vertically. There you go. You don't have to make it the right size right now. Just make it in the right spot. And because it's a circle, we're doing that way. So, great, it's an image, that sort. Basically, what are we doing with this? Oops, opening too many things at once. Show you a couple of examples here. Should have had these open already. Come on. You can do it. I believe in you. There we go. So what we're going to end up with is some sort of and again, these are both based around a circle. Doesn't have to be that way. Just is, because that's how I did these. Based around some sort of multi-tiered design, kind of like a coin. You could make this a coin if you want. Now, can you make this double-sided? Yes, you're welcome to do that. Just right now, this design is single-sided. So nice little empire symbol or adorable ducky. Now I'm going to show you how to make things different levels, as well as how to do things like make cutouts, that sort of thing, as well as add text to these things. A lot of this stuff is freehand. A lot of the stuff is copied. A lot of the stuff is using the mirror or pattern tools to make duplicates of one thing. Because why do all the work when you can let the program do the work for you? Also, some kind of little hole so that you could, put a chain on it or something. All right, so this one, yay, Phoenix Quadrant, because I haven't done enough Star Wars stuff. So first thing is establishing a size. Now, you could do this by scale, which scale is relative, meaning that is just by numeric factors, meaning scale at standard is 1. Anything below is less than 1. So 0.5 is half the size. Scale of 2 is twice the size. But I want to do it actually dimensionally. So, as I said, should be no more than about 80 millimeters large. So that is about 3.5 inches. There we go. So to resize this, open up the drop-down for canvases, right-click on your image. Go to, not to edit canvas, but calibrate. What this allows you to do, and I can click the top of my view cube to get there, it allows you to pick 2 points on your image, and then you can size that dimensionally based around those 2 points. So I'm going to click here and here, the 2 outside, roughly the size of the diameter. Like I said, it doesn't have to be precisely. It's just, in this case, making it about the case. It's 12 millimeters large. I want that to be 80. Hit 80. Giant comparatively. Hit F6 to resize. Now that circle, not the image, but that circle within the image is 80 millimeters across. So that's the main thing of why we're not using the resize image, because I don't care what the actual image size, I need the actual logo to be that size. And there we go. All right, so that's my starting point. From there, I can select sketch. And if I'm at a 3/4 view or so, I want the XY plane. Select there, snaps up and around. So you got a few options here. You can do everything in one single sketch, or you can do multiple sketches, but make sure those sketches are all closed, completed ideas, all images. So if I was drawing the Phoenix logo, do all of that in the same sketch. If you forget something or need to alter it and you hit finish sketch, go back into it, right click on it on either the time slider or the drop down, right click to edit sketch to bring it back into the sketch environment. You want to complete those sketches within the same. If you don't, you will not be able to extrude them. They're not going to be closed sketches, even though all the points line up and the lines overlap. It won't be a closed sketch because they're just not the same sketch. That's all. But I could do like the Phoenix logo in one sketch, the text in another sketch, and the outline and such in another sketch. That's fine because those will create closed sketches that I can then create extrusions and such off of later. But you want to make sure your completed idea is done within the same. So, all right. So I left this smack in the center so I could base this off of circles. Let's use the circle tool, smack in the middle. That's going to be 80, 82. See, it's not quite exact. That's all right. Close enough is close enough. There we go. Going to use that as a closed line. There we go. Now, this logo is based around a circle. So why use a fit point spline to draw the whole outside when I can use a circle to go close enough to right there? Yeah, it's close enough. All right, now I can modify from there. So I could use things like fit point splines, start from a spot, let's say like the point, yep, and just work my way around. Less points make for larger curves, but less detail. Closer, more points allow me to have more detail, but less simple makes things more complex. Drawing out from there. Now, to make a really sharp curve, don't continue the line. Hit enter, finish that, and I can move my points around if I need to alter anything. I can drag this around. I can use the handlebars. There you go. To get to this point up here, just start another one. Fit point spline. I did not close that on purpose. There we go. See, if I need to turn, sometimes the turn is much too close. In this case, it looks like it'll be okay. So I'll continue up. But see how this next curve goes kind of wonky? Not going to let me work that way. So hit enter there, bring up the handlebar, alter that, rotate it back around. Cool, there we go. These two look close enough together. Let me try snapping them together. That worked pretty okay. That didn't alter anything too badly. We're all right there. It's kind of a sharp point. That's okay. From there, yeah, that line kind of got a little wonky on me. I can go back and slide the drawing over a little bit, the image over a little bit, but close enough is close enough. So I can also just go ahead and close this up. I can also go ahead and close this up by adding another line in, fit point spline, just dragging around. This is doing all kinds of funky stuff because it's such a tight turn. But bring the handlebars around and it'll let me join that up a little bit better. It's kind of bad. I don't like where that's going. So I'm going to hit enter and I'm going to trim off. Man, I don't think that whole section, but if I don't like where that is, I can also drag this over. Remember, it has to have some kind of an intersection. Now that it does, now that that vertice touches this other line, I should be able to trim it. Yep. As long as you have something crossing, you can use that as a cutoff point and trim away. Now, it did leave that little dot there. You could use trim, but you're going to end up catching some other stuff. So let me hit escape. I just want to select just that vertex. I guess I didn't quite get it. Gimme. Yeah, it's doing some funky stuff. Well, if it's not hurting anything, maybe just leave it. All right, we'll leave it where it is. So you continue doing the same. Use your fit point splines or straight lines to just draw around. Honestly, this part of it is just that, just drawing around. And I'm going to try and get this in here. That sharp turn is going to be too much, so I'm going to finish that line. Let's drag that around. Do another fit point. Boop, boop, boop. Keep drawing around to make this logo. Or at least the closest I can. Again, that's a pretty sharp line. I don't think I'm going to be able to make that. Hitting enter finishes it off of that base off of the last point. I can restart a new line, and that should let me get in much closer. Yeah, that's working nicely. All right. So we're talking about a few other ways to work here. Work smarter, not harder, all that kind of fun. Just trying to make that line a little bit sharper, and that works better. All right. So this has got this zigzag thing going here. If I can, I don't want to have to do that much work. So use the offset tool. Let's see what this does. Dragging it the other way, that's pretty close. I'm not morally opposed to that line. It's not exact. Obviously, if you want it to be exact, you should use the appropriate tools. But base it off of that. All right, that works pretty well. I can modify that. You know, the zigzag got kind of messed up there. Now, I cannot change the line there because that is an offset based off the other one. They are locked together. So let's Control Z, not move that. But I can draw in a new line from right there. Now, this is going to, if I draw straight to it, it's going to, even if it points blind, the first 2 points is going to make a straight line. So let's make curvy, curvy, curvy. There we go. I have my handlebars. I can, of course, alter this a little bit or drag up and around. There you go. That's a little better, or at least that's less terrible. Now I can use the trim tool and chop that chunk away. So use the tools that you have. Don't feel like you have to make every single thing by hand. Some things you're going to have to. Some things you can get around. This part, I got pretty close with the offset tool. I just need to adjust those last ends. There we go. Close enough. Use a trim tool. Chop off that chunk. There we are. Now, this side of the logo is pretty close to all that. I can use the mirror tool, but mirror works here. It'll duplicate mirror across a sketch. That means, though, you have to have a line for it to be based around. I can't just mirror this off of like that point because that could go anywhere. So this is one of the areas where you might want to use a construction line. So it's definitely based off of right in the center. And let's just draw a line straight out. You could make it at that point. That would make more sense. But just for the sake of this conversation or demonstration, just draw that point out there. All right, finish line. Select that line, either press X or on your toolbar here, line type, hit construction, makes it a dotted line. What that means is it's there, but it doesn't actually affect anything. See how it's not cutting anything in half? It's just there as a reference line. Now I can use mirror. I can select as many of these lines as is going to work for me and select my mirror line. right there. Not perfect. It's not a mirrored design, but gets pretty darn close. Select OK. Now you're going to have all of these constraint tools come up, and that is the symmetry tool. Now, like I said, that's mirrored, it's exacting. If I try to move it, it's going to move both. So I cannot alter those. But you can disable symmetry too. You've made those. Let me hold select all those. It's not going to let me deselect it because I created it with mirror. All right. So in this case, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to alter that. Yeah, it's not going to let me turn off symmetry on this. So this is one of those times, you're locked into it, so it's not going to work as well. But maybe we could modify it or just run with it from there. All right, so maybe we can just go ahead and make use of the other half. I can add to it, and then we'll just make like the crest of the head up and over. Again, I'm just doing this quickly so we can work with what I got here. Boop, 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 boop. And tie it back in. Great. Now, of course, we're going to have some wonky stuff here. This line, might have to trim some of that out, something to that effect. Symmetry doesn't affect deleting, but altering it does lock things in. Now, I do need to close up this part of the sketch up here. So, again, using a fit point spline, I'm going to close this up and just kind of draw close enough. Like I said, in this case, because I'm just doing this demonstration, I'm just going to get it close enough. You make it as much more detailed as need be. There we go. So now that I closed that up, see, now I can isolate that entire line there. Now, something happened over here when I was adjusting some line that shrank that circle. So I'm just going to try and tweak. I'm just going to pull it outward, but double check that all the things that are relative to that line, like this last fit point spline I just added, it's going to kind of alter things. You might need to adjust that. Hopefully I didn't crash it. There we go. Shouldn't crash this early in. So I'm just trying to adjust this so it doesn't look like it's got like a dolphin head for a wing. All right. Close enough. Hit OK. Come on. There we go. All right. So this would be the kind of thing of like, all right, I got the most part down. Let's go ahead and save there. Finish sketch, locks everything in, save. Now, this is what I was talking about when you save, it brings up reference points. You don't have to put anything in here. It's just for your own reference. So version here, I don't know, just basic logo. Hit OK. So now when I open up the data panel, now it has two versions. The initial save, oops, that's a different one. There we go. The initial save when it was created, and then last reference. So that's what those are for. This all works really well. If you are getting confused, just hide the logo. There we go. So what we are going to do from here is take your sketch, and we're going to extrude this. Now, everything is closed. It's all light blue. It's all locked together. The Extrude tool, and we're gonna build off of this next class, but the Extrude tool allows you to select multiple things. Now, if you are trying to get the whole thing, select all the things. Now, the problem is I had everything but that selected, so now when I selected all the things, it inverted the selection. Hit OK again, or hit escape to reset. If you right-click on your mouse or on your touchpad, it will bring up a recent toolbar and such, and it is just there for you to, or it's just there to help improve your workflow. Straight up is the most recently used tool. So repeat extrude, select all the things. There we go. So with this, what I was going to do is you can select the whole thing. I'm going to isolate these individually. So instead, let me deselect everything, and let's just hit just the logo. Make sure you get both sides of that, and let's go up, I don't know, 2 millimeters. There we go. It's gonna go up 2 millimeters. One side starts at the profile plane, which means the XY plane we were building off of. Operation, new body. There you go. Now, your sketch disappears because Fusion assumes you're done with that. You don't need it anymore. Not the case. If you need to bring it back up, which I do, go back down under sketches, something else is up with my key there, unhide it. There you are. Now, what I'd recommend is make this in multiple tiers, meaning that my image, and let me hide the bodies here. Oops. You got a whole bunch of different things. If you extrude everything the same height, it's just going to be a disc. So let's extrude these at different heights. Things like, all right, I want to isolate the bottom here and such. Well, that kind of lightning bolt thing, that rounded lightning bolt, I can just leave that as negative space. That'd be fine. But let's say I want to extrude. We'll extrude upwards for the side here. We'll go up 2 millimeters again. Now, oops, let me repeat that. Now, if anything is touching together, and let's say I hit 2 millimeters again. Now, you got to be careful here. If you make them all the same height, it's going to show up all as the same thing. But one other thing is your operation will automatically change. So like these two things are touching, it assumes you want to link them together, join them together. I don't want to do that yet. So let's go back to new body. So it keeps things separate. Hit OK. Expand bodies. You've got the two different ones. You can relabel these for your own clarification. Just slow click on that, and let's just say logo ring. It's just there to help you. Now, the reason I'm doing it separate and stuff like this is, like I said, if I go to the side, that's just one circle. So this would be where you'd want to make alterations. Right click on the second one, edit feature. Let's just make that 1 millimeter instead. Now, I at least have the benefit of a couple of different levels. Now, if I'm making this a whole logo and such, it would be best to, connect this stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another extrusion and go downward. So let's select there. Underneath, if you're having trouble selecting everything because you don't want to select like the body, stuff like that, just hide that. Select all the things. There we go. Now I want to go down -2 just to give myself some dimension. There we go. Nothing else is visible, so it's going to stay as new body. Hit OK. Unhide the bodies. Now I have it as a base and kind of a cookie wafer thing going here. But the whole thing is I want to create multiple levels. There we are. Now, the logo has text on it. Text tool has gotten significantly better in Fusion. So I want to make some text. I can, if I want to alter that original sketch, great. Don't have to. I can slide the history slider back before I made any extrusions, make my sketch there. Or I can do it currently because it doesn't really affect anything right now. Right now, order of operations does get important, but depending on what you're doing, it's not a big deal right now. It will get very important later in. So right now, let's create a sketch. Back to the same. If you're having trouble selecting what you're trying to get to, which is I'm just trying to get to the same plane, you can hide everything. But you can also automatically select on anything that exists. So if I want to say extrude what I'm going to do with this and downward so it cuts in, I can just select the top of this disc. So let me hide the logo so you can see more clearly. And I'm going to and it's going to automatically create my sketch on top of that surface. So with this, let me bring the logo back up. Come on. Oh, I hit all the canvases. There we go. So I want to create text. Now, text functions off of either creating a text box or text on a path. A text box, it's a text box. You draw a box and you type into it, all set. But I want it to be along this circle, which is a path. So you got to have the path existing first. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a circle based on the center, and I'm going to try and get it roughly in the center there. That looks pretty good. Hit OK. Now, I don't want this to interact with anything, just it be a reference point. Select that circle, hit X. It's a construction line. Great. Now I select a path or select text on a path. There we go. Super. Now the problem is here, you can see what immediately happens. I made that circle right in the center, but the placement only allows you to make it either above or below. So I need to resize that, but that's okay. We'll do that in a second. So you got all your options. Also, the text starts at the X plane here, or at the X axis here, and goes counterclockwise. It's really kind of funky. You have your options standard of like align to center, align align right instead of align left. It's just where it starts. So if you're trying to get things to space out, it's best to you kind of have to use the just tab tools and use this text box here. All right, so what do we have here? Phoenix Quadrant. Excuse me. No, it evenly distributes it. Yeah, fit to path means it's going to fit all the way around. Yeah. Now, like I said, it's improved. It's just not really where it should be. So with this, if I could spell correctly, that would be even better, especially if it's right there. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot how to spell it for a second. Leave me alone. So if you're trying to get this to fit, what you're going to have to do is just add spaces. And yes, I do realize that I got the words in the wrong order, but add spaces between and use the tab tool. So you kind of, it's like using Microsoft Word. It's not great spacing text around. So do your best with that kind of thing. And I'm going to, of course, change these around so it actually, is where it's supposed to be, or the correct words in the correct order. Yeah, you mess around with it a little bit. There we go. So also that one is backwards. So whatever. You can you can swap them around. So maybe with doing this, it would have been better to make this in two separate pieces. But you get the idea there. So trying to size this out does, yeah, it gets awkward. It's not great, but for what it is, that's where we're at. Um, there we go, close enough. All right, hit OK. Obviously, you changed around the height of the fonts. Let's make that a little bit smaller. That, of course, great. That changes everything. So, poop. Always the fun bits. Okay, so close enough is close enough. Now, like I said, Fusion is a parametric modeling system, so I made the mistake of the diameter of that circle. Use my dimensional tool, go to that line. I can draw it out here if I need to make it a little bit larger. Let's try to get this to fit correctly. That's 68. Let's try 75. Recalculates. That's not a bad size. Probably should just use the full 80. Not quite, maybe 78. Close-ish. All right, there you go. That works. Now the problem is yeah, how do I get back to the text? Double click on the text. That'll bring your toolbox back up. Now you can futz around with the spacing again and get everything to work again. So yeah, like I said, there's a lot of reasons why Fusion is the free version. But for what it is, for what it's doing, it's pretty good. Hit OK, finish that. All right. Finish text. I got my text. It's not perfect, but like I said, I wanted to just kind of run through this real quick with you. All right. Now I can use the extrude tool to go up, down, whatever I want. And what I mean by up or down, just that. Select the text. When you select the text, it selects the entire text as a complete sketch. I can extrude upwards. Let's go 2. There we go. It'll automatically try to join. Or press new body, and it'll just leave it as such. Hit OK. There you go. Obviously, kind of big, oversized. When you create your extrusion, it makes each letter its own body. So mildly problematic, but just be aware that that happens. Obviously, we still got some things to tweak on this, and we'll take care of this next time, but I just wanted to run through the basics with you. The last step for this would be, aside from doing all the other stuff, you're going to use the combine tool. Now, if you're familiar with any other CAD software, this is a Boolean operation. Boolean is any kind of operation that takes two solids and has them interact some way, either through joining, through cutting, using one tool to cut the other one apart, or taking an intersection, which means that wherever the two overlap, clip together, all you're keeping is the section in between. So select this tool. And we're going to combine this. If you want to select all the things, if you're wanting to do everything, you can just select one, tool bodies, all the things. There you go. So it joins everything. Now, if you want to keep these separate, you can select keep tools. Or if you're not sure what you really want to do just yet with it, click a new component, and it'll kick this out into a new component. Hit OK. Now this is a duplicate. It saved the original. It compressed them into one. I have my second component. It's not really necessary right now, so let's just leave it as, oh, it saved just the original. So there you go. You got your whole thing. Hide the logo, hide the sketches. Gets confusing. And there you go. So there's a bunch more modifiers you can do, but the main thing is if you are going to 3D print this, it has to be all joined together. It can't just be sitting together. It can't be a bunch of different bodies that just happen to touch each other. It has to be linked together, combined together. So that's the main thing there. So with all this, you play around with it. We're going to add to this later. We're going to make some more details, that sort. I'm going to show you how to use some of the other tools to make some other features that you don't have to fully draw out. But that's the rundown. Play with it. See where it gets you. Last step, save the thing. Maybe done? Never know. All right. Play with it. Go from there.